Hello and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Today is the weekly the weekly energy card reading, and this is where I host a tarot card reading based on the energies for the next 7 days. It does not have to be the date listed for you to watch the video. If you are drawn to it, there may be messages contained that are prevalent to you at this time. But otherwise it would be for anyone who watches their energy readings weekly, and this week would be the December 7th through December 14th, 2019. I want to thank everyone for their support of my channel. I have a beloved 11 subscribers, and I'm so excited. I feel like that's such a lucky number, it being kind of the mirrors and, 1111. So I'm very grateful for every single one of you. Now, today I'm going to jump right into the reading. I've been feeling a little bit low energy. I feel low energy normally this time of year, just with the holidays and other things, but this week in particularly, I'm feeling a little bit, a little worn down. So I'm very grateful that you're here to contribute your energy to the reading. Now, the weekly energy reading is done using tarot cards. If you're not familiar, or if you're new to my channel, so what I do is in a minute I'm going to freeze frame and let you choose from one of 3 different tarot decks. When you pick your deck, we will do a spread, a card spread describing the energies for the week. Now, tarot is the meat of the reading, but what it is that I truly believe that, symbols speak to us. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm just reading a story using tarot cards. If the messages do not resonate, by all means, you do not need to take it. Maybe this week did not have any messages for you, or maybe there was a different deck that you were drawn to more. Whatever resonates, we always have a saying in tarot, keep what resonates and just leave the rest. If you would like to go straight to your card reading, the timestamps are always listed in the description box below. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with the deck descriptions. This week we've got 3 different tarot decks. I went with mini decks this week because it had been a while since we had done a mini deck reading. So we're going to go with the Everyday Tarot by Biddy Tarot, who is Brigit Esselmont. We're going to go with the Sun and Moon Tarot by Vanessa Decort, and the Witch's Tarot by Dugan. We do also have, the cards by James, the Your Journeys, Your Soul Journey message cards. I might be saying that wrong, but the name of the cards and the author are also in the description box, by James Praagh. And then I'm also going to clarify by using conversation dice. And what this is it's just kind of a conversation game, but it's on wooden dice. And we'll go ahead and the pink one is actually one that I don't really draw. What it is it's just the description of the conversation that you're having. But typically that doesn't come out in the reading. I'm going to be using the other tiles as your descriptor. But I will go ahead and freeze frame and let you choose your deck. I do ask that you please choose from your intuition. Sometimes if you were drawn to more than one deck, there might be one reading that has a majority of messages for you, and then the other deck might have a few messages for you. So feel free to watch both or all of the readings, whatever you're comfortable with, and I'll go ahead and let you choose your deck. See you in a minute. Okay, we're back. So let me go ahead and we'll get started with the Everyday Tarot. And you have a citrine. I paired it with a citrine. So deck number 1. What is deck number 1's energy for the week? What kind of week can deck number 1 expect? Oh, okay. Actually, these were kind of coming out together, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of read it like this. Well. And then to clarify deck number 1's weak. Oh, thank you. Clarifying deck number 1's weak. Okay, we kind of got 2. Oh, wow, guys. Okay. Those 2 wanted to come out together. And what is our dice? Play. Okay. All right. So deck number 1, the beginning of your week, you are definitely, yeah, I really get a feeling like you're in a little bit of a relationship situation. By the beginning of the week, what's happening is you got the Ace of Cups, you got the King of Swords, and you got the Hanged Man. And these 3 wanted to come out together, and they were right on top of one another. They were more like this when they came out. So that's how I'm going to read it. But the Ace of Cups is it's a really beautiful emotional beginning. And what I love about this deck is that you see it looks like the Dove of Peace. It almost looks like he has like one of those circular, if you've ever been to church and you've taken communion and had the little circular bread that they give you. And it looks like it's like one of those wafers. And this really this type of bird could be a dove, but the way the wings look, it almost looks like a crow or a raven or maybe even an eagle. But I definitely just get the feeling like you have, at the beginning of the week, you have this opportunity for a great love. It's almost like a great emotional beginning. Now, the thing is that right next to that great emotional beginning, you have the King of Swords. And the King of Swords is the mature, masculine king of thought. And what it is he's a great strategist. He's a great planner. He's very much up in his head. But what it is that it isn't that he doesn't feel. It's just that he takes the needs of reason over the needs of his heart. And what I'm kind of seeing is I'm seeing the King of Swords with his back turned. You see how the position of the cards really matter? It seems like he's kind of turning his back on this cup, and he's looking towards the Hanged Man. So what's happening is I really get the feeling that at the beginning of the week, you are using all of your reason, and you're a very mature person. You can be a woman and be depicted as the King of Swords, but in the beginning of the week, you are using all of your reason to kind of not see the potential of a new love or a new emotional beginning, something that would make you very emotionally happy. And what it is you're kind of turning your back on that cup in order to look the direction of the Hanged Man, because you see the king is looking this direction, the Hanged Man is looking this direction. So I think what's happening is at the beginning of the week, there's an opportunity for some kind of emotional beginning or some kind of emotional, I really want to say some kind of new love. But right now you are keeping in a rational mindset, and you're looking the direction of the Hanged Man. And what the Hanged Man represents is someone who's in a complicated situation, but they're enlightened by it. Because what you see is the man is hanging upside down, right? And this is a major arcana. This is a very heavy card. You see him hung upside down. He's by one foot. And then he's got his other foot kicked out as if he's sitting in a lounge chair, even though he's completely upside down, right? His hands kind of look like they're tied behind him. But what it is despite, his really uncomfortable and almost kind of compromising position, he looks really enlightened. So I really get the feeling as if you are kind of ignoring some kind of emotional beginning in order to stay in another situation that is really not comfortable, but you understand why you're there. You understand the reasons why you're there. It's almost like you need the king needs to stay in the Hanged Man position. He needs to be upside down because he knows why he's upside down. He knows why he can't turn around and look at this cup, because there's something that he's doing that he knows what he's doing, basically. He knows what he's doing. There's method to his madness is kind of what I'm getting. And he has to stay at the beginning of the week. It's almost like he's ignoring he's ignoring a new emotional beginning because there's something else he has to do, even though that circumstance really makes it look like, he's in a bad position, but he's really not. There's something that he needs to do. Now, by the middle of the week, this is where it gets interesting, is that you see you've got the Two of Wands. And the Two of Wands is that decision card. You've got, basically you kind of got, again, I kind of feel like the Cup is on one side and the Hangman is on the other. And it's almost like you're still the king of swords in the middle there, but you're looking at the Cup and deciding whether or not you're going to go for it. And this person has the globe in their hands. So really what they're deciding is, okay, am I going to stay hanging upside down? How much longer am I going to stay hanging upside down? And there are two choices here. So by the middle of the week, you might have to make a choice between something. Now, the fact that normally if you'd see the Two of Wands, this could be a very, minor decision, like, okay, where do I go for lunch? Do I go to the pizza place or do I go, for subs? But the fact that you've got, a king who makes very rational decisions, and the fact that the two is a decision, I have a feeling that the two rods are you going to go for the Cup? Or are you going to remain in the situation that, makes, that enlightens you? And there's something kind of hidden about this situation. There's something, the Hanged Man situation is entirely internal. It could be a work situation, it could be a home situation, but one of the options, only you know the details of. Only you know the details of. The Cup might be a little bit more public, but not by much. But the other thing that you see about the Two of Wands is that one is bolted to the wall, right? And the other one is free. And so this person wants the world. This person wants, they're looking out and they're deciding, okay, what's going to give me the world? What's going to give me this wonderful future? Now, I can tell you right now, the Ace of Cups is, it's what gets you to the Ten of Cups, which is emotional fulfillment. It starts with an ace and it ends with a 10. So that one, I really feel like because his back is to it, this might be the one that's bolted to the wall because his back is turning, That's just one interpretation, because his back is turned to the Cup and it looks like he's facing the Hanged Man. And here, it kind of looks like a woman, but her back is turned to the one that's bolted to the wall, and then she's looking out with the free wand. So basically one of these situations is a new situation, and one of them is existing. And you're going to kind of have to decide, because both of them have the potential of having a really good future. It seems like by the middle of the week you're really going to be deciding. Now, by the end of the week, this is pretty amazing. You got another major arcana. You got the Wheel of Fortune. And that is the universe turning things in your favor. Things are about to get really, really good for you. I mean, the wheel turning, it's just kind of like a universal shift. It's like saying, okay, maybe you've been hanging for a while and, you did your work. So the wheel's going to turn. And when the wheel turns, it's going to bring you a fortunate circumstance. Now, you may have to decide, you might have to decide to take that boon, but basically what it's telling you is that the fact that, the Wheel of Fortune, if you look at the four corners, it has the four signs, it has the four fixed signs, which means this fixed signs in astrology are like Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. And what it means is they're the doers. They're the ones who finish things. And so when the wheel turns, and the fact that, you have the god Anubis of the underworld at the bottom, but then you have the goddess of light at top, what it basically means is that, yes, what's kind of these opportunities that are coming your way are they do seem a little divinely guided, and they also seem like a little bit of a reward for your hard work. And I know that seems kind of weighty for a weekly reading, but by the end of the week, you're really going to see evidence of this. You're just going to kind of see evidence that one of the choices that you're given is really the wheel turning in your favor. You're going to have good luck. And you really, basically, it just means that there's going to be an opportunity that's a well-earned opportunity, something that you've really put work into that would bring you a lot of boons. Now, the fact that I think it's a little bit more relationship is based on your two oracle cards. You got forgiveness and you got relationships. And I'll go ahead and read it. Forgiveness, I acknowledge that harboring resentment blocks the flow of love. And then relationships, I am attracted to those people who serve my higher good. So here, the fact that it says forgiveness and relationship, this hanged man might be the result of a previous relationship where someone might need an apology. Either that, or you might need to give an apology to someone. It just kind of seems like it's possible, maybe even this Ace of Cups, because that can be the renewal. I'm not seeing any real reconciliation cards, but I do think that it's entirely possible that you might be receiving an apology, or someone from your past might request, ask for your forgiveness. The other thing is that, I'm attracted to those people who serve my higher good. This decision that you're making, it might be, between, two potential futures, which I know is kind of heavy, but, if you have the choice between, and it actually could be both. You might be making the decision to further a relationship that's very healthy for you, at the same time letting go of one that may not have been the best, but you're choosing to stay in an energy of forgiveness. You'd rather forgive and release that and let the wheel turn and take you into a better place. But this is definitely very strong energies. That is kind of the theme. So by the end of the week, you're going to feel like the universe is really moving things in your favor, and you may very well, have some decisions related to relationships. Now, the tile that you got was play. Now, I always read this anytime, and especially in a context of this, I think it's good to just kind of, I think it is, with all this heavy kind of decisions that need to be made, I think it's real important that you keep a playfulness about you. I know sometimes we can get all serious, especially if, and sometimes the other person in the relationship is not even aware. Maybe you've been spending time with someone or going out on dates and you really enjoy this person's company, and then all of a sudden in your own head you start thinking, oh gosh, I got to make a decision where this is going, and then you kind of bog it down with a lot of heavy energy, and the other person's like, okay, wow, their temperament changed. Why are they so serious? So I think it's just kind of telling you that if you do, it's not saying play with forgiveness. I think it's just saying keep kind of a playful demeanor about you, because I know a lot of these decisions are very weighty, but if you just kind of keep a more lighthearted, kind of fluid type of attitude, I think that'll make it so much more seamless when the wheel turns. You know what I mean? As these things come in, it won't be a jarring transition. It'll be a very smooth transition if you can just kind of, make it fun. Make it fun. All right. So that was your reading, deck number 1. That was very cool. Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and get into deck number 2. We got the Sun and Moon Tarot by Vanessa Decort. We have an obsidian stone. So deck number 2. What kind of week are we going to have? Ooh, guys. Deck number 2. The end of our week. Ooh. ominous. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop being ominous. Okay, so advice for deck number 2. Advice for deck number 2. Okay, so deck number 2. Now, the beginning of the week, we got kind of you got the 5 of Pentacles, and what it says is at the top it says worry, but typically, if this focus, please, thank you, worry. Typically, you see 2 people who's normally this card is depicted as 2 people who are out in the cold, and you know they're outside of what looks like a church. Now here you got 2 people kind of laying on the ground, and definitely the fact that it says worry is that I think the beginning of the week, normally the 5 is pertains to, you know, money. You might have a little bit of financial worry at the beginning of the week. Also, you may just be worried about just some, you know, just some circumstances in your life. It could be relationships, but normally the pentacles are definitely related to some kind of physical thing. You could be worrying about a house. You could be worrying about, you know, bills. You know, definitely with it being this time of year. You know, this time of year it always is a little tough as we come up on Christmas. But definitely by the beginning of the week, you kind of, I think, you know, seeing this poor person, this image really does kind of just, you know, pull at the heartstrings. I think you really are just having a few nights where I really get the feeling like you are kind of doing that lethargic, just kind of pulling into a ball, and just really, I get this feeling like you can't get away from your thoughts. Like this isn't a swords card, which normally is thoughts, but we're about to get to that. But I do think that you're plagued, the fact that it says worry, I think it's hard for you to get, I think you're ruminating a lot, and I know that's hard not to do, because what happens is I think as humans we always want to problem solve, and problem solving involves thinking about, you know, what's going on, you know, what's happening, and you know, you have to think about, well, I'm sorry, I'm making no sense. Rumination, it does lead to a little bit of depression, because what it does is you think, okay, I have this problem and I want to solve it. Then you start thinking about all the aspects of the problem, and then it just puts you into a circle of worry. Okay, well, ABC is happening. Well, I can't do anything about ABC. Okay, I'm going to worry about, you know, doing something about ABC. So, but that's going to be kind of your energy at the beginning of the week. By the middle of the week, you kind of have the 7 of Swords. The 7 of Swords is usually that in this deck you see somebody who is holding the one sword, and you can see that the other 6 are there. So here, and it says futility. Normally the 7 of Swords is someone kind of sneaking away with swords. It's a little bit of what they call the sneaky Pete card. Here in this deck, you see the person has already acquired the swords, but you can see that she's alone. She's up on a cloud. She's pretty isolated, right? I think in this circumstance, I think because swords are also verbal, they're mental, they're words. I have a feeling that you've already gotten away with something, air quotes. You already something has already occurred. And it's almost like you really can't take the words back. You can't undo what's already been done, and it's making it feel like, okay, it's done. Put a fork in it. There's just nothing else I can do, right? It says futility. Everything feels futile. It feels like it doesn't matter what I do. I already got all the swords, and I wish I could give the swords back, but I can't. You know, that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. And underneath it, we have the Princess of Pentacles, which is the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles is the beginner, right? It's the person, you see this person looking at, kind of floating daisies, and they have a pentacle in their hand. And normally the pages are the learners. It's the small action. It's the beginning. And then what I'm getting a feeling of is that, I have a feeling that you feel like you've been isolated, you feel kind of alone. I'm really getting a lonely card from this. And I feel like by the middle of the week, you really are going to be, that's going to be kind of intensified. You're trying to fix whatever problem, occurred here. And, you are feeling a little bit on the financial straits. And then by the middle of the week, you're thinking how you can make it right. And you're doing the right thing. You're getting a plan. And I was thinking that when I was looking at the Five of Pentacles, the best thing that you can do anytime, especially when you're stressing about money, is get a plan. Get a plan. Break your problems down into little manageable pieces, and then put all of your energy into that first step. Okay, step 1, I'm going to budget. Okay, step 2, I'm going to implement that budget. Next pay period, I'm going to pay this much to that, I'm going to pay that much to this. And then also, think about your living expenses. Okay, how much do I spend on lunch? How much do I spend on this? And really, if you budget it out, again, just get a plan and stick to it, and that will help with the worry. But here, I think that's what you are doing, is by the middle of the week, you're feeling like, okay, this is futile, but what can I do? What small step? And again, start small. So I think by the middle of the week, you've got the right idea, but you are kind of fighting yourself still. I think there's a really bad circle in your head, like, okay, there's nothing I can do. Okay, what little thing can I do to get this started? If this involves a person, you might be thinking, okay, do I have to call them? Do I have to give them a gift? It's stuff like that. If it's all financial, then you're just thinking, okay, what are the baby steps I need to take here? But that's good. Start small. Start off as a page. That's completely okay. You don't have to be the King of Pentacles overnight. But I think you are, by the middle of the week, you're just really kind of fighting your own thoughts, feeling like this situation, like there's no, that things are futile, that you won't be able to undo the damage. And you can. I really think that the Page of Pentacles is saying, break it down into manageable pieces. Now, what makes me feel like this might be a little bit of a relationship thing is because by the end of the week, I'm seeing I'm seeing 2 people, and I'm seeing an action in between. The first person, and this kind of came out first, is the Prince of Wands, who is the Knight of Wands. And I really love this card. He looks so fiery. He's in a chariot. Look at that beard, man. I love it. And then he's got a lion leading his chariot. That's the coolest Knight of Wands I've ever seen. And then the other person is, you've got the Queen of Swords. And you see here, she's, this is actually a depiction I really like, is because the Queen of Swords, again, she's a queen. She's got butterflies, which represent transformation all around her. And then you see that she's holding a mask. And that is definitely an accurate depiction of the Queen, because what it is the Queen of Wands is the Queen of Thought. She's the counterpart to the King of Wands. The Queen of Swords is the Queen of Thought, and she's the counterpart to the King of Swords. And what it is that she's not a cold person. She's very witty. She's got all of the nurturing aspects of a queen. All queens are nurturing, so she's very nurturing, she can be very witty. She can be very verbally encouraging. She has, again, a good sense of humor, and she has a good way of seeing the world too. She's very smart. But the one thing is with the mask is that the one thing with the Queen of Swords is that she is still a queen. You don't come at her with a lie. You come at her untruthful, and she will take that mask off you. And look, she's still sitting while she's doing it too. She's got one sword in one hand, and then she's got a mask in the other, as if someone tried to come at her with
with something that wasn't the truth. So, and what we see, and again, we've got the Knight of Wands above, and then in between these two people, we've got the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups is someone who's walking away. And here, this image is him taking a long walk off a short pier, right? You got a full moon in the distance, and the Eight Cups are there. Now, the Eight of Cups is walking away from something that you set up. Like, especially, someone has set up all of their cups, all of their emotions. They've invested in something, and what they've done is the person has walked away. The person has made the decision to go ahead and just, walk away, leave it, Now what I see is, I do see that the person is walking the direction of the Knight of Wands. So it could very well be the Knight. It could be the Knight who's walking away from the Queen of Swords. So you could, by the end of the week, at the beginning of the week, you might be really worried about either finances or this relationship. And then by the middle of the week, you're trying to decide what to do. Okay, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? I have all the swords. How do I give them back? How do I make this right? Do I have to, what do I do? What do I do? And this is in the physical world. What can I do in the physical world? Because, thoughts aren't going to cut it. I have to take some kind of action. Do I need to give this person a gift? Do I need to call them? What do I need to do? But by the end of the week, I really feel like, again, with the futility in the middle of the week and indolence at the end, I just have a feeling that I have a feeling as if this walking away has already occurred. And I just think that by the end of the week, and actually, gosh, guys, we're coming up on a full moon too. It's a full moon in Gemini, because it's a Sagittarian birth month. So the full moon in Gemini, and oh my gosh, thoughts. We have swords in here. Gemini is an air sign. So I have a feeling that by the full moon, I just feel like the Eight of Cups doesn't have to be a permanent walking away, but what the feeling I get is, I get the feeling as if, and again, the cards came out like this, Knight first, let's see, focus please, Knight first, Eight in the middle. So I'm just getting the feeling that by the full moon, I think you were hoping for some kind of either the beginning of a resolution or some kind of progress between these two people, between the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Swords. And the Knight is more of a young adult kind of person. It can be an older person, but it's basically someone who acts like they're in their mid-20s or early, it's not a king. It's someone who's a little bit more impulsive than that. He's not, and it tends to be male, but it can be female. But the Queen is definitely the mature feminine. She's a mature feminine, and she knows her mind. She knows her stance on things. And definitely you need to come at her with the truth. It might be telling you that too. It might be saying that it's all fine and dandy to try to bring, to try to make amends in a physical way. But if you're dealing, if the Knight of the Prince of Wands is dealing with the Queen of Swords, it better not be all talk and no action, which definitely and honestly, I'm rolling my eyes because the Prince of Wands is all action. And the Queen of Wands would probably be more talk, so I should probably use a different phrase. But I think what it's saying is definitely, but the fact that she's holding a mask, don't come at her false. If you are trying to bridge, and honestly, this kind of looks like a bridge too, right? I think one or the other, and the fact that the Queen is on the Queen of Swords usually always looks like she's defending because she's got that sword up, right? And the fact that the Prince of Wands, he almost looks like the Chariot. And we did the How to Tarot for the Chariot not too long ago. If you feel like watching it, go over and check that out. But he looks like he's full speed ahead. So I'm really getting the vibe as if the Queen is the one who walked away, and because again, it looks like a bridge. It looks like it looks like the Prince of Wands is itching to just run right over. Look at his wheels are on fire, guys. These wheels are on fire. All right, and he looks like he just wants to kind of fly over that ocean, and the ocean's water too, and go towards that queen. So I have a feeling that if I think it's on the 12th. I have to double check that, but somewhere I think the full moon is occurring during this week, and I really think that this person, I think they're tired of being in limbo. They're tired of being in limbo, and by the end of the week, there's going to be some kind of action taken. It's going to be one of two things. It's either going to be you're going to have kind of a Prince of Wands character. If you're the Queen of Swords, a Prince of Wands character is going to be coming. He's going to be storming right through that Eight of Cups, that distance, that walking away. He's going to run right over it with his chariot pulled by a lion, and go towards the Queen of Swords. Either that or the Queen of Swords can expect either that or I'm sorry, if you're the Prince of Wands, you're going to come to some kind of decision. The other way that I can see that is that maybe by the end of the week, this is the action that this person wants to take, and this is the stance. So one person's gung-ho to try to make contact. The Queen of Swords is at the ready, like come at me true or save your breath. And but the distance is still in between. It could be still just a stalemate. These might be the intentions of these people, but when you have the 8 still in the middle, that you might still be in that place. It depends on. It's like almost like something's got to give. Something's got to give. Somebody's got to take some kind of action, and you would think it really looks like it's going to be the Prince of Wands. I hope that helps. So this is just how we're reading it. Again, if it doesn't resonate, you don't have to take this reading. But, and the color, synchronicity alert. But the card that we got guilt. I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. So definitely this person, and seriously, I'm getting the feeling like this might be you, Pile 2, because I'm just getting a lot of images that say, look, gosh, somebody's really up in their head and they're mulling over what to do. So there might be a little bit of guilt here. And again, guilt's not a healthy emotion. It's definitely good to release that. If you need to talk to this person, again, if you're the Prince of Wands, just know that this person wants truth. If you come at them in a truthful way, and just about every fire sign I've ever met is naturally truthful anyway. If you're Aries, Leo, Sag, or if you have it anywhere in your chart, you're good at laying it out in the truth, because air and fire is compatible. But if you're the Queen of Swords and you have someone who's coming at you with this, wheels on fire, I would say just give them the opportunity to speak. I don't know the circumstances. I'm sure you have your sword up for a good reason, and definitely, if anybody's lied to you, don't accept any more of that bad behavior. But try to listen and try to let this person release this guilt, because it really is affecting them. It's not healthy for them. So if you can help them in releasing that, or just be receptive to them releasing it. And the other thing that I see is that, look at you see all the reds and blues in here. I think that's really, really neat. It's like it, and honestly, when you look at the Temperance card, it's red and blue, and that's the color of divine masculine and divine feminine. And I'm just seeing a lot of red in the Prince of Wands and a lot of blue in the Queen of Swords. So I really just get, and the fact that we have purple towards the bottom, I just really think I am getting a strong relationship vibe, as if some kind of amends, somebody's going to try to take action, or somebody wants to take action to clear out all of these bad emotions. And by the end of the week and near the full moon in Gemini, you're going to be seeing that. Now, definitely we got the tile says animal. Now, I kind of thought of this a few ways. The only animal that I see in these cards is the Leo, the lion here. Now, one thing, when you see the word animal, It can mean kind of animalistic urges, and I don't mean that in a weird way, but just like, and we also had a tarot recently about strength, and you see lion with strength a lot. And what that is it's kind of just reining in your impulses. That's what I kind of think of. I kind of think this person really, this person wants to take action, but almost like the strength card. And if you get a chance to see the video, How to Tarot Strength, it's about holding back. It's about holding in that urge. Okay, I want to do this, but I need to rein it in. And the fact that this looks like a cross between Strength and Chariot, this person is able to do that. This person has been, the Prince of Wands, the Knight of Wands has been doing that. Now, the only other thing I can think of is maybe you do have an animal that's, something is going on with an animal, like maybe a pet. And, this time of year, I mean, money tends to get a little bit tight. Maybe we don't have the money to go to the vet, or maybe there's some kind of diagnosis that really has you worried. That can be another thing that's going on. But here I am kind of getting a little bit more of a relationship vibe, because we've got two people with distance between them. And again, the fact this looks like such a crossover between the Chariot and Strength. And I just feel like, what that tells me is that it just seems like this person wants to come near you. And you can see the lion's not moving. It's almost like the reins have him standing still. So, but definitely by the end of the week or around the full moon, either. The other thing that I see is when it says animal, it might be pointing to the only animal in the spread, which is the lion. And the only other thing I can think of is lions mean pride. And oh gosh, and it is a Leo thing. You don't necessarily have to be a Leo sun sign, but the fact that there's a distance of one person walking away and it looks like there's a space between you and guilt, I have a feeling that this is a little bit of a standoff. I think both of you are being prideful. I think the Queen of Swords is being prideful and, saying, you better come at me, the way I want you to come at me. And then, it's almost a standoff. The Knight of Wands is standing there going, I could come at you at any time. I could trample over anything in my way. Nothing's going to stop me. But, I'm not going to come at you if you're just going to cut me down with that sword, right? I do think that when it comes to these kind of things, I do think that there's and the Libra in me, I'm a Libra, to see both sides is that as long as you are respectful, be respectful. The Queen of Swords is valid. If she does not want anyone lying to her or wearing a mask, there's a reason for that. The Prince of Wands has a point. He doesn't need anybody being cold or cutting or verbally, condescending to him. He doesn't deserve that, even if he's a knight and not a king. But he has to understand. So I think if you are patient and honestly, if you walked away from all of those stacked cups, that's not an easy choice. That's a hard thing. And if anybody's, trying to get forgiveness or, make that right, that would be worth it. Just, I'm not saying rush into it, but, be patient with each other. And again, air and fire is very compatible. So, I think, even if the fire person comes across a little blunt, I think the Queen of Air would appreciate, the Queen of Swords appreciates the honesty. All right, so deck number 2, you guys have an interesting week. Let's go ahead and go to deck number 3, which is one of my favorite decks. It's actually the one that I really wanted to pull out this week, was the Witch's Tarot. You got with it a smoky quartz, and I know the lighting doesn't do it justice. I hope you can see it. When you look at it in the light, it looks all gray, but then when you put it up to the light, it turns a smoky brown, and I just think that's the coolest thing ever. That was a gift from a friend of mine. All right, so deck number 1. Okay, we kind of had the Empress wanting to tap out. All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Spirit. And this is coming out like this. All right. Deck number 3. Okay, and now I'm kind of doing a little bit. The Hangman wanted to come out in the first spread, in the first deck. All right, can you see? Are you in focus? Yes. All right. And deck number 3. Let's see, a message for the week. Fancy. It says fancy. Fancy, fancy. All right. Okay, so deck number 3. Now, the first card that wanted to tap out has been a regular. I swear, this card has been following us around. You got the 10 of Rods, or the 10 of Wands. And basically, you see someone who's, very well dressed, and they're carrying 10 wands that look very heavy. And it looks like you can see in the distance, it's like they're headed towards the castle, but you look at that and it's like that castle's up a pretty steep cliff, and you got a long way to go with all those rods on your back. And what that tells me is that at the beginning of the week, you're going to have a pretty heavy workload. Again, this time of year gets really busy. Maybe you've been really busy at work, the hours have been long, the work has been a little bit grueling. And it's just, the beginning of your work week isn't going to be, it's going to be a typical Monday. You're going to feel like the week is pretty long, and, you're just you're looking ahead like, here in the dirge, but you can see the path ahead of you, but you're taking on a lot. So, the 10 of Swords does kind of caution you, try to pace yourself, try not to, try not to take on too much. I know sometimes it's definitely a team effort, you can't always put some of those rods down, but, try to do your best to not overexert yourself. Now, by the middle of the week, we got the moon in the reverse. And, the moon is a very powerful card. And again, I was just talking about this in the last deck, is that this week I believe there is a full moon in Gemini. And the fact that it's in the reverse is that, when it's upright, the moon usually rules the unconscious. It rules hidden things. It's the churning of your emotions. It's the things that I always anytime I think of the moon, I always think of those. Have you ever had like a response to something that was just completely irrational, but it was completely based in your subconscious? Maybe something happened to you in childhood that just, made a bruise that, anytime you see something that reminds you of it, it's just kind of like a knee-jerk reaction. So the moon is kind of like that. What it is it's that subconscious kind of slush. You might have, gone off on somebody, and you're like, where did that come from? And it was kind of an emotional trigger. The moon can also make you feel like you're lost. It's kind of that nighttime. Not everything is as it seems. Things look very obscured and scary and fuzzy and foggy, and it's just kind of like, that feeling of not knowing where you're going, and really kind of, if you've ever walked into a room when it was pitch dark in there and you didn't turn on the light, how when you're kind of feeling around for the light switch, or you're kind of sensing where to go, that's definitely the moon. You kind of have to use your intuition because you don't know where to go. You're kind of in the dark, and everything is the moon's light is a reflection. The moon doesn't glow on its own, it reflects the sun, so it's like a mirror. But its light is so soft, it makes everything look shadowed, it makes everything look scary. So it can also rule fears and things that are unconscious or unknown to you. Now, the fact that we have the moon in the middle of the week, we have the moon in the reverse. And what that means is that really can mean, it can kind of mean one of two things. It could either mean that you're coming out of a time of feeling really lost, where you might be feeling like you're coming into a time of a little bit more clarity. Either that, or you're going to feel that the confusion and the fear is going to be amplified. I'm getting a vibe that it might be the second more than the latter rather than the prior, just because full moons do make us feel a little bit loony. I would say that if you have any planets in your chart that are what we call mutable, like Sagittarius, Pisces, Virgo, and especially Gemini, because the full moon will be in Gemini. It'll be 19 degrees Gemini. So but basically, I think that it's going to be kind of touching on that, and it's going to make you feel extra loony, so to speak, but definitely not in a bad way. I don't want you to be afraid of it, but just know that I think you're, and especially if you're a sensitive person, you just might be that much more amped up. You might be that much more sensitive to things. I think you're going to be very receptive, and especially if you have this full moon touching anything, like if it's conjunct, if you have any planets in Gemini and this moon comes along and it's just going to, kind of put that planet's energy on stereo. So I do think that you do just kind of have to be mindful of that. Be mindful of any knee-jerk reactions that you have. They might be very subconscious, and they might be triggered by things that you're seeing that, again, just are just something personal with you. It has nothing to do with the person who did it. So definitely, just try to be patient with yourself too. Worst case scenario, if you really do feel like you're having an emotional moment, just kind of excuse yourself, maybe go to the bathroom or step away before, anything results of it. But just, be kind to yourself. My mom always says that, be kind to yourself. Anything you feel. The other thing that I've always noticed anytime the moon shows up is that we get so hard on ourselves. We in our own head, we're like, well, you were acting crazy. You were doing this. You were so over emotional. You're so irrational. These mean things that you say to yourself, because the moon is a good thing, It's like if you didn't have triggers, if you didn't have something come along and churn up, kind of stir up those emotional responses, how would you ever know, that you had something going on inside of you, right? So it really is a good thing. I know it makes you feel like you're a raving lunatic sometimes, but it's actually a good thing, because when we're triggered, it brings that problem to light. And when you kind of flush it out, you can do something about it, right? So around the full moon, middle of the week, you might be feeling a little bit more emotional. And goodness knows, gosh, our pile 3, I really think, I always get such a strong energy from deck number 3 or pile 3. I really think that, I don't know if you guys are readers yourself, like tarot readers, or maybe you do some other new age thing, maybe you're astrologers or, feng shui or Reiki or something, but I always just feel like, I don't know, deck number 3, I always feel like a real energy of like, I feel like you have water in your chart. That's all. I'm sorry. Okay, rant over. By the end of the week, it's actually going to end very well. You got the 6 of Pentacles. So here, in this deck, the 6 of Pentacles is someone who is, what it is it's evening the scale. It's like, if you've ever, it's the, like if you've ever taken out a loan and then you've paid that loan back. Or if, when you were a child, you had someone help you out financially, and then when you were all grown up, you turned around and helped that same person back. It's kind of leveling the scales that way. And here you see, a mature adult person who looks very affluent, he looks like he's well dressed, and he's giving he's giving these children who look like they don't have as much, money. So what it is that is the 6 of Pentacles. When it's in the upright, it's an equal balance of give and take. Either that, or it's someone paying back what they were given or paying something forward. It can also be that it can be the sign of someone who's a provider. Maybe, maybe you are the head of your household or one of the primary wage earners for your household. So by the end of the week, you're definitely going to feel, I definitely get more of a vibe like you're the person who's giving. I do think by the end of the week that you're going to feel a little bit more generous. Either that, or by the end of the week, you're going to receive something in equal balance. Maybe you've been working really hard and it's really been stressing you out and triggering a lot of fears, and then by the end of the week you just get some reassurance that no, things will get balanced out. Things will get balanced out. It could very well just be pay week, and what you're doing is you're taking care of things that were owed, things that, some bills or expenses. By the end of the week, everything will feel like it's, been paid back in full. Now, the 2 cards that wanted to pop out, and I was just going to kind of use it as kind of a garland, it kind of loops into it. I feel like, the beginning of the week while you're working hard and You got the Seven of Cups, which is a decision. You have a lot of options, and the fact that that came out, kind of going from, it kind of connects the working hard, the overwork card, to the Moon in reverse, which is that feeling lost. I do think that you just feel like I do kind of get the feeling that by the beginning to the middle of the week, you just really feel like you're toiling away at something, and it's not getting you anywhere. I think that that's going to be kind of the vibe. I also just think that the universe is trying to, as you go through as you navigate some of this moon energy, I think that you have a lot of options in front of you. It's just, it is making you feel kind of lost. It's kind of making you feel like a little overstimulated, like you don't know what to go with. What cup do I choose? I'm working really hard, but where do I go? Where do I take this? Is this getting me anywhere? And I think you have a lot of fears about that. I think you might be having fears that, and definitely try to take some measures to ease those fears. Or again, if it's triggering some kind of deep-seated, psychological kind of response, kind of analyze that. Be like, okay, why is this coming out? Why is this popping up? What can I do? What action can I take to feel like to feel clearer, to have more clarity, and to feel, to feel better about your future. Now, the second garland from the middle of the week into the Six of Pentacles is the Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Wands is a really lovely card. It's a very warm card. It's someone who's very self-assured, very beautiful, and very creative. The Queen of Wands is a very strong woman. So I do think that, at the beginning of the week, you're just going to be working really hard and feeling a little lost. But I'm so happy to say that by the end of the week, you're kind of going to get your bearings. After the full moon, you're going to start feeling a lot better. And it almost, looking at this, it almost looks like a release valve. It looks like, there's been kind of pressure building up. You just kind of been working your butt off, don't feel like it's getting you anywhere, feeling really lost and confused, don't know what to do. And then by the end of the week, I just feel like something, just by getting all of those emotions out, letting them, like a teapot, letting the steam go, I think you're going to feel much better and much stronger by the end of the week. Maybe analyzing these emotions will give you some kind of clarity, or, give you an idea of a direction. And then I do think that by the end of the week, you might be getting some recognition. Sometimes sixes mean recognition, and that might also involve some kind of payment of something. Maybe you're getting a Christmas bonus, or I just think that it's going to make you feel a lot more better by the end of the week, because some act of appreciation or some kind of act of balancing is going to occur, and it's going to make you feel like the Queen of Wands again. It's going to make you feel like, okay, and again, we had Wands at the beginning of the week. It's going to make you say, okay, all that work was not for naught. It really did, it turned me into this queen, right? So definitely, I think it is around that full moon time too. Now, the one card that wanted to tap out was blame, but that was just, kind of, I think that's kind of saying, don't be quick to assign blame. I know sometimes when things aren't going right in life, our first instinct is to be like, well, if this didn't happen, then I wouldn't be here, But I think it's kind of saying, try to stay away from that type of energy. That's, blame shifting is never. It's always good to just take responsibility for what your part in things, and then, I guess the best course of action is always think, what can I do? Anything that's happened in the past is done. What can I do now? And the other card that you got was freedom. And it's, I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. And oh gosh, weren't we talking about that? We were just talking about that. And, and honestly, the Queen of Wands is a very happy card. And, the Six of Pentacles also might be saying that, again, you might be finally getting the rewards of work that you've done. You might finally get some compensation for, the things that you've done all along. And you might have been worried about that, thinking that would never come. But just know that you are a free person. Just because you have obligations to things, you can put those rods down at any time. You do not need to really, if something's becoming too much of a burden, speak up. And honestly, the Queen of Wands is a very warm person. She's a very freedom-loving person. The Wands are always, they're the fire signs, and freedom is definitely a key word with the fire element. You don't necessarily have to be a fire sign to be the Queen of Wands. It just, that is, and you can be a male watching this reading. It just means that you're in your own power. You're confident, you're almost kind of radiant, you're really, really glowing in your strength and your beauty and your leadership. That's the other thing, Wands are definitely leaders. So, but it is just telling you that the power is with you. The power is with you. Now, the key word that you got was fancy. and definitely, it's funny, I don't see too many, now that I take that back, I do see in the beginning of the week, if you look at this guy's cloak, it's pretty ornate. It seems to have like a lot of embroidery on it. And then by the end of the week, you see the person who's giving the money, you see, he's pretty well dressed too. He's got like some fur lining going there. He's all coordinating in his green. And then the Queen of Wands always looks stunning. You can see she's just in gold and satin and looking, and look, even she's sporting the jewelry too. She's like garnet encrusted. So I think the key word that it's telling you, and again, it being advice, this being the advice, I think it's saying that if you're feeling a little bit like you're in the dirge or you're feeling lost, you might want to try doing something kind of fancy. Maybe dress up a little bit. I am really drawn to her jewelry in this. One key to happiness that I've always that I've read before is if you lay out your outfits for work, and even if you wear a uniform, like even if you don't wear like a suit every day, maybe you have a uniform that's like a polo shirt or something like that, try to find a nice piece of jewelry. Either that or start with a piece of jewelry and then kind of build your outfit around it. I think that would just make you feel fancy, right? Because I'm seeing people wearing very nice clothes, and I have a feeling that, even the moon, she's kind of wearing a corset. She looks pretty nice herself. So I just think that if you either, kind of coordinate your outfit or do something kind of fancy, maybe wear the pretty necklace that you haven't worn in a long time, pull out those big earrings and, just really do something glamorous. I think that would kind of make you feel a little bit better with the long days. Even if you don't have a set direction, if you're feeling confident and pretty and stable in yourself, that really goes a long way to helping you feel like, that you're moving forward in life. All right, so that's deck number 3. Well, that was our week. That really was a good week. That was exciting. I didn't see too many, again, it's coming back up with our 6 of Pentacles. So I think that's going to be a major event for you, deck 3. But I sincerely hope, that it's a good week, and it looks like a great week. Even with some of the sadder cards, every single one of those decks had kind of challenging energies, but the end of the week all ended with action. It all ended with action and positive results. So I think all of us are going to have a really good new moon and or full moon. And also Gemini is the sign of communication. It's the sign, so that's always a good thing. Full moon, in that sign, at least people will be talking. Hopefully we'll be talking nice. But I sincerely hope everyone has a great week. Now, the next thing up is the How to Tarot on Tuesday. So please feel free to stay tuned for that. I do readings with those tarot cards, so you do not have to listen to the description part if you don't want to. You can scrub forward. And we always host a reading of how that tarot card manifests in your life. So it's almost like a second energies reading. But I hope to catch you then, and I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you later. Bye.